Have you ever stopped to think about what really happens when you connect with someone? I'm not just talking about touch, glances, or the moment itself. I'm talking about what lingers afterward. A lot of people believe that intimacy is something simple, with no consequences beyond momentary pleasure. But deep down, everyone has felt something different after being with someone. It could be a good feeling, an inexplicable sense of well-being, or a heaviness, an anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere. But why does this happen? Can that energy really stick around even after the physical connection is gone? Beyond that, you'll learn how to protect your energy and break free from the invisible ties that still hold you back. So stay with us. Maybe you felt different after being with someone. That happens because the exchange of energy doesn't end when the encounter is over. Let me start explaining it to you now. Small fragments of that person stay with you, just like pieces of you stay with them. And it doesn't matter if it was something casual or if there were real feelings involved. The exchange always happens. The problem is that no one teaches us this. We grow up believing that intimacy is just physical, something isolated, with no real impact beyond what we can see. But the truth is, every connection leaves marks. Some fade quickly. Others stay for a very, very long time. That's why some people, without even realizing it, carry emotions that aren't entirely theirs. Sadness, anxiety, thoughts that pop up out of nowhere. Sometimes they're not just yours, but if this exchange is so intense, why do we still believe it's possible to be with someone without creating any kind of bond? Many people believe they can have intimate moments without getting involved. Without carrying anything from the other person. They think it's just an encounter, a moment, and then everything goes back to normal. Maybe this is one of the biggest illusions of modern times, the idea that we can separate body, mind, and energy. As if we could rationally decide that nothing will affect us. But human beings aren't made up of separate compartments. Everything blends, everything connects. Think of a strong perfume that someone wears. Even after they leave, the scent still lingers in the room, on your clothes, on your skin. Energy works the same way. You might think the moment has passed, that it ended right there, but something stays. And unlike perfume, this presence doesn't fade so quickly. Sometimes it clings to you in ways you don't even realize. That's why even people who try to maintain a cold or distant attitude end up, in some way, feeling the impact of these exchanges. Sometimes it's not immediate. It might take days, weeks. But at some point, the other person's energy makes itself known. And what happens when that energy isn't just neutral, but filled with stories, pain, emotions that aren't yours? This is where we dive into the next point. The real impact of these invisible exchanges. Every human interaction involves an exchange of energy. Whether it's a conversation, a hug, or even just a glance, something is transmitted and received. Now imagine the intensity of that exchange when there is a complete fusion of bodies, breaths, emotions, and intentions. It's not just physical, it's vibrational. During intimacy, the energetic fields of two people intertwine like invisible threads. It doesn't matter if the encounter lasts a few minutes or several hours. When there is contact, there is mutual absorption. The other person's emotional and spiritual state starts blending with yours, like colors mixing on the same canvas. And this is where things get delicate. Because this exchange isn't selective. You don't just receive the good, you receive everything. If the other person carries unresolved traumas, fears, or resentments, that burden can be transferred to you. If their energy is heavy, filled with insecurity, frustration, or anger, part of that vibration can remain within you, like an invisible imprint, and your body feels it. Some people report unexplained exhaustion days, weeks, or even months after intimacy. Others start experiencing emotional shifts that weren't part of their daily life before. Feelings of anxiety, sadness, or emptiness appear out of nowhere. This happens because energy doesn't just dissipate when the act ends. It lingers in subtle layers of your existence. Some of these energies are like a passing breeze. Others are like stains that embed themselves into the skin of your soul. If not cleansed, they stay there. Now think about how this accumulates over time. Think about how many energy exchanges happen without awareness, without real choice over what is being absorbed. A person could be carrying fragments of multiple others inside them, pieces of stories that aren't even theirs but still influence their thoughts, emotions, and even their destiny. The impact of these exchanges goes far beyond what we can perceive on the surface. But what about the bonds that form? What happens when that connection doesn't disappear, even after people drift apart? Every interaction between two people involves an energy exchange. But when that exchange happens through intimacy, the impact is much deeper. It's not just a shared moment, it's a bond formed, an invisible thread connecting those two people on a subtle level. This energetic connection isn't just a metaphor, it's real and can be felt in many ways. Persistent thoughts about the person, a feeling of their presence even when they're not around, sudden mood changes with no apparent explanation. These are imprints left in the vibrational field, like marks that remain even when the relationship is long gone. In some spiritual traditions, these bonds are called energy cords or astral ties. They act as bridges between the energies of two people, allowing emotions, mental states, and even thought patterns to be shared, even without physical contact or direct communication. The problem is that these bonds don't automatically disappear. Depending on the intensity of the exchange, they can remain active for a long time, influencing how someone feels and even how they relate to others in the future. And there's something even more concerning. When we connect intimately with someone who carries deep wounds, unresolved traumas, or dense energy, part of that burden can be transferred to us. Simply walking away physically isn't enough to free ourselves from this impact. Some connections continue draining energy, weakening vitality, and bringing emotions that often don't even belong to the person experiencing them. But how exactly does this transfer happen? How can we absorb something that isn't even ours? The answer lies in how energy moves and connects between people. During intimacy, the energy fields of two individuals intertwine. This fusion doesn't just happen on a physical level. It happens on a vibrational level, where emotions, thoughts, and internal states blend. If someone carries within them feelings of fear, sadness, or deep insecurity, that vibration becomes part of their energetic signature. When an intimate connection occurs, that frequency can be transmitted, like an electric current passing from one body to another. Energy doesn't have physical barriers. It flows, expands, and settles wherever it finds space. And that's how absorption happens, silently, without us even realizing it. A person may walk away from an encounter feeling strangely drained, with thoughts or emotions that didn't seem to belong to them before. Small changes begin to appear: mood swings, disrupted sleep, unexplained fears. If the other person's energy is filled with trauma and unresolved emotional blocks, that burden can be transferred like an invisible weight lodging itself in the recipient's energy field. This can manifest as unexplained fatigue, sudden anxiety, or even a shift in how the person perceives the world around them. And the worst part? This absorption can become cumulative. The more unconscious connections someone establishes, the more energetic fragments they collect, making it harder to distinguish between their true essence and what they have absorbed from others. But this doesn't mean there's no way to avoid the impact. The problem lies in the illusion that body, mind, and energy are separate entities, as if it were possible to engage physically without it affecting the rest of one's being. This is the next essential point to understand. If someone else's energy can stay with us, influence our thoughts, and even shape our emotional states, then the idea that we can experience intimacy without any internal consequences becomes obviously unsustainable. The mistake people make is believing that the physical is independent of the emotional and the spiritual. But every experience leaves a mark on all three levels because human beings are an integrated system. Body, mind, and energy operate together. That's why, even when there's a rational detachment, something inside us continues reacting to those exchanges. The body can feel the impact through subtle changes, mood swings, unexplained fatigue, or a sense of inner disconnection. The mind can start adopting thought patterns that didn't exist before, and the energy, filled with fragments of past experiences, can become weakened or misaligned. And the more these exchanges happen unconsciously, the greater the risk of energetic dispersion. Over time, a person may start to feel fragmented, as if something within them is dissolving. Their identity becomes unstable, their sense of presence in their own body diminishes. A void begins to grow, silent but constant. And what happens when these energetic bonds become so deep that they trap a person in past experiences, preventing them from moving forward? Well, the truth is that when an energetic bond forms, it doesn't just disappear because the relationship ends. Many times it continues to exist, sustained by unresolved emotions, vivid memories, and unconscious patterns that keep repeating. That's why some people struggle to detach from certain relationships, even when they know it's no longer healthy. They feel an invisible pull, an inexplicable attraction that keeps drawing them back into the same cycle, as if something greater is keeping them tied there. This happens because these bonds aren't just memories. They are subtle threads that still connect two energies, allowing emotions, thoughts, and even spiritual states to be shared, even without physical contact. Have you ever met someone who, even after years of separation, still feels the emotional echoes of an old relationship? Or someone who tries to move on but keeps attracting partners with the same energy from their past? That's not a coincidence. That's resonance. Energetic bonds can act as invisible links that keep patterns of suffering alive within a person. If a relationship was marked by pain, insecurity, or emotional dependence, that vibration can remain active, attracting similar experiences over and over again. It's like an energetic magnet keeping a person stuck in the same cycle. And the more intense the exchange was, the stronger that bond becomes. The problem is, we don't always realize when we're being trapped. Sometimes, what we think is missing someone is just an energetic residue still attached to us. Sometimes, what we mistake for love is simply an energetic bond that hasn't been broken yet, but every bond can be undone. The question is, are we truly willing to cut those ties and move forward? Because liberation doesn't happen on its own. It requires awareness, intention, and most importantly, the courage to let go of what no longer belongs to who we are. If every energetic exchange leaves a trace, then true freedom isn't just about being with whoever we want. It's about consciously choosing who we truly want to connect with. Because a bond can be a channel for growth, but it can also become an invisible prison. Many people feel trapped in past relationships without realizing it's not just emotional attachment, it's an energetic tie still active. And if these bonds can shape your energy, your mood, and even your outlook on life, then before creating any new intimate connection, it's crucial to reflect. Who is this person entering my energetic field? It's not enough to just look at what's visible. The energy someone carries goes beyond appearance, behavior, or words. How does this person feel when they are alone? How do they deal with their own shadows? Because when you share a moment with them, you're not just receiving what they choose to show. You're absorbing everything they are. And more importantly, are you ready to carry that weight? Every exchange creates a bond, and not all bonds are positive. Some nourish, elevate, and bring growth. Others drain, deplete, and leave marks that take time to fade. The problem is that most of the time, we only realize this when we're already deeply connected. So before allowing another energy to merge with yours, ask yourself 3 essential questions. What does this person carry within them? Does their energy bring peace, or does it hold scars and unresolved turmoil? What impact could this connection have on me? Will it strengthen me, or am I at risk of absorbing something that could weigh me down? If this energetic exchange were permanent, would I be at peace with it? Because in the end, every energy you allow into your life can transform it, for better or for worse. But what if you're already carrying past bonds that drain your strength? If you've already absorbed vibrations that now weigh on your soul? The question now isn't just how to avoid new harmful connections. It's how to protect your energy and break free from the invisible ties that still hold you back. So how do you protect yourself? The first step is to stop engaging on autopilot. Choose who you connect with. Don't just look at what a person shows on the surface. Observe how you feel after being with them. The body doesn't lie. If, after an encounter, you feel light, at peace, mentally clear, that connection nourished you. But if, on the other hand, you feel heavy, sad, anxious, or have an odd sense of emptiness, something was drained from you. The second step is to cleanse what has already been absorbed. Just as the body needs washing, energy also needs purification. Herbal baths, meditation, spending time in nature, deep breathing rituals, all of these help dissolve the burdens you've picked up along the way. But the greatest protection of all doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. A person who is truly connected to themselves doesn't become an emotional sponge for others. The stronger you are internally, the harder it is for external influences to affect you. So ask yourself, what inside me is still allowing these energies to affect me? Because in the end, protecting your energy isn't just about avoiding negative people. It means becoming so solid within yourself, so whole, that nothing external can throw you off balance. The energy you allow into your life shapes who you become. So choose wisely, and choose yourself first.